Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Chevron 1, coded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry havoc, and let's set the tongues of war.
Chevron 2 is coded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
It's all in the reflexes.
I'll also say that you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff. I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Knock while you can, monk boy.
Great Scott. Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass! I thought I'd die fighting side by side with Al.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
Hail and howdy, everybody. Welcome back to Saturday Night Drive-In. It is May 2024, and we're celebrating real Star Wars because there is real Star Wars, and then there's Disney Star Wars. And real Star Wars does include the prequel trilogy, and tonight we are going to have what I expect to be a lively discussion about Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, which is still Star Wars, despite its weaknesses. We'll get into that. Jed, hi.
Hi.
Hi. You got nothing.
Hi.
Clifton.
Hi. Hi.
Jed, did
How
you
you doing
get your
today?
ears lowered real quick there, buddy?
Lowered? What do you mean?
Yeah. Got a haircut?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
He's gonna. No,
You fooled me.
It was a
Fooled me
real ratty hair day, so I just put it up in a ponytail.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like. Anyway, how you doing, Jed?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. As always, we need this, little window into positivity in our lives and pop culture. So that's why I value this stream so much. And considering what we're going to be doing right after it, Adam and I really, really need it. So
Yes. I mean,
even
remember,
as much as I have problems with this movie, it is still a good fan debate. This is a fan discussion. It's not determining whether or not this is legitimate. It's determining how much we enjoy it personally, which is very much a fan debate, a classic fan debate, which of course I love.
subjectively, there is still fun to be found in this movie. Subjectively,
Absolutely.
With its problems, and there are problems, but it's still subjectively fun. We enjoy it. We have a good time, as opposed to, as Jed said, in about 2 hours, what we're going to tackle in that. But that's 2 hours from now. For now, we got two guests joining us again this week. Welcome back, Clifton, for more prequel fun. How you doing?
Hello there. I'm doing all right. I hope everyone in chat is doing all right too. I'm looking forward to this. It was fun going back and watching it again.
Yep. I listen. I watch this movie several times a year in my Star Wars rhythm watching. It's how I do. It's very easy. I have digital copies, so it's much easier sometimes to throw it on the computer while I'm doing other stuff. I can have the headphones on. I can go in the other room and do things. It can be a companion. So I watched the prequel trilogy in conjunction with the OT. OTs I got to put on the actual player, so it's if I'm going to watch the OT, I got to be sitting down and watch the OT. But I can wander around with my headphones on. So I watch the prequels fairly often, but I actually watched it yesterday. I didn't just wander around this thing. And yeah, I watched it with a critical eye, and I had fun in my favorite moments, but I was really watching it with a more critical eye than even I normally watch it, because that's the job today. We're here to have a lively discussion, and it's always a lively discussion thanks to Ryan. Welcome back, Ryan. How are you?
Well, it's good to be back. As the only person who's still, unfortunately, there's no new meme, so you're gonna get you get Taylor Swift from Star Trek. So probably blasphemous. No, you can't. It's just that's gay. Don't.
You don't need a meme. You could just choose a new background. You don't have to be.
I mean, I have several backgrounds, but it's just like it's one of those things that it's kind of lived in infamy.
Yeah, but we're not torturing you over it anymore, so it's kind of.
There are other people that are.
Oh, they are. Oh, see,
yeah,
see,
if it just died and nobody mentioned it, I would let it die. But
see, I don't suffer Swifties anymore, so Taylor Swift doesn't even enter my mind. And I've been blowing through my TNG season rewatch, and
nice.
I'm not even in OT anymore. I'm well beyond ensign poop carrying bucket Swift. You know, I'm beyond that. I just watched. I just did Beverly gets sexually assaulted by the ghost. So.
Oh yeah, that's
a wild moment.
That's a wild moment. No, good to be here. I is somebody who, of course, maybe I watched the original, the original trilogy well after the fact. It was made in 82. I was born in 85, so I was massively excited for the prequels. I would say that Attack of the Clones is definitely the weakest in my opinion, but I still like it.
It has several great moments.
Yes,
it does. But you are correct, and I will definitely go into that. It is, out of the 3 prequel trilogies, I think it is weakest, not because of the story. I think in part because of the writing. Some of the dialogue in this movie, especially mostly through Act 2. Oh, it's hard to get there. Before we get going, though, hail and howdy to both chats, mine and Jed's. We're happy to have you guys here. As always, hit that like button. Subscribe to everybody's channels. Let us know what you think. And always engage with us. We may not always talk to you guys in the chat because of the format of the show, but we are watching, we are seeing, and we love when you talk back with us and share the excitement. So let's dive in. Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. And I'm going to start right there. That is the worst goddamn title.
Yeah, it's not great.
Why didn't Georgia say Star Wars Episode 2, The Clone War?
That would have been a lot better, drastically better. Attack of the Clones, it didn't make any sense because, quite frankly, again, the clones were not at this time.
They were saving everybody at the end.
Yeah, it's not an attack, and it's such a small part at the end of the film that it just doesn't make sense. It has always boggled my mind. Why is it called Attack of the Clones? I don't do any behind the scenes watching things. I'm not. That's not my thing. So I don't know. Oh, that's the best part of the prequels. That's the best part of the prequels. Behind the scenes. Has George ever answered that? Why he called it Attack of the Clones? Has he ever done that? And to our knowledge, not that I'm aware of. No,
I don't think so. No.
All right. So I mean, it's just a weird title choice.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change my feelings on the movie. I just think it's stupid. It's a stupid title. But anyway, so here we are. What I did appreciate about this one, though, is that we have a 10-year time skip. I appreciated that. It allows us to move forward. It allows us to get the characters older. We didn't have to see a middle teenage Anakin. He's still 19 at the beginning of this. But we don't have to see awkward teenage Anakin. We get hints at some adventures, and there are EU novels that cover Obi-Wan and Anakin's adventures,
especially for kids. There's some good stories.
Yeah,
the Jedi Quest. Yeah.
So there's stuff out there, but I like that they got right into it, and the movie starts well for me. I like the start. It's a very eerie start as Padme's ship and her escort, or she's in the escort, as we learn very quickly, arrive. And also, I will say this once again, Lucasfilm, Skywalker. I'm not sorry. I mean, Lucas. God damn it, Lucasfilm. Industrial Light and Magic. That's what I'm trying. There you go. ILM did it again. They had at least 3 years to tweak the special effects that they pioneered with Phantom Menace, and they made it look even better because the space CGI flawless. There's no, for me, when I'm watching anything with the ships, there's no uncanny valley. Later on, little uncanny valley when you get
The only ship scene that I would contradict that is the speeder chase on Coruscant.
Well, it's
kind of ship, so that would be the one that I say the CGI is the weakest on.
Weakest, but I think that's because they were throwing a lot at us with Coruscant, because now this is our second time on Coruscant. The first time in Phantom Menace, it was kind of just a surface thing, just little privateer landing pad,
looking out the window or
Senate.
whatnot. Yeah.
Now suddenly you're in Coruscant, and this is 2002, right? It's
2002, yeah. I
Um,
mean, compare that CGI to what comes out today. It's like they've done nothing since then.
At the same time, we hadn't actually seen Coruscant yet, because, excuse me, it's another 10 years before you get Star Wars: New Republic, where the game actually puts you in Coruscant, and you have an entire section of the game, starter section, but entire section of the game, where you're actually running through gang occupied sections. You're in different levels, the destroyed Jedi Temple of the time. This is our first real shot of it, and George and his crew at ILM, they did a good job. You feel Coruscant feels alive, and you get a lot of these classic imagery that's going to make their way as classic Star Wars memes around everything. And it is also meme heavy right away. This does birthing the whole Death Stick meme that that was born here. A lot, but it does really well, and I appreciate one of the things one of the positives about this movie. It does good world building for Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars already had the OT, the Phantom Menace, and a lot of other physical print media that had built and expanded the lore and everything. Because this is 2002. The EU has been off and running for a decade now. Where we had just started, we're already deep into the new Jedi Order. A lot is happening, but as far as visual stuff, unless you're in the video games, you don't get a lot, and therefore that's a lot of the normie class didn't get that. But now here we are. Here's the Old Republic, or you get all this great stuff. So it does a great job of pulling you right in, which I think is one of the strengths of the movies. It makes you feel alive in Star Wars. And yes, we do go back to Tatooine, but that was a purpose. And I do like that return to Tatooine. It's not a lame-ass return to Tatooine like Disney Star Wars does every other week.
Also, at the same time, the return to Tatooine was was for a purpose. It was brief, and something literally so unimaginable at that point had happened. Like, we all probably thought, like, going, okay, how is this going to roll out? Like, because knowing that where things go from the original trilogy, seeing it play out, you're like going, okay, well, that was kind of shocking. Again, because I mean, we'll get there.
Say you can jump around. We're not going to go in order here. You can jump around.
Yeah, no. So so Anakin finds his mother dying, kidnapped by Tusken Raiders, and he walks out of the tent, and he literally starts murdering everybody.
Yeah,
everybody.
That is the best part of Act 2 right there, because it's the beginning of his fall. We've seen him be kind of a rebellious Padawan at this point. He's questioned things. He's bitched and moaned about Obi-Wan, but he hasn't actually done anything that puts him in dark side territory. But we talked about this last week, Clifton, that Anakin's core problem is his fear.
Yeah.
And what drew him back to Tatooine was the fear of losing his mother, the fear of what's happening to her. And fear leads to anger.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we got. It led to anger, and you go to the slaughter. And I before I turn it back over to you guys, it's such an important moment. You can see I have it here. I brought it out last week and bring it again because I referenced it last week, but now here's where it matters. In this one, in Ghost of Tatooine, or Tatooine Ghost, where Han and Leia have a little adventure on Tatooine. At the very end, when they're going to get the item they're trying to keep out of Thrawn's hands, because they don't know it's Thrawn, but it is Thrawn. They end up at that Tusken Raider village that Anakin massacred. And you learn very quickly in that moment that to that day, over 20 years later, that place is taboo for the Sand People. They don't go there because of that massacre. They consider some vengeful spirit slaughtered everything, and they won't even go there. And Leia learns about what happened there because she has Shmi's diaries and other things connected to it, and learns that she had been kidnapped. She puts it all together. I think she puts it all together. I'm gonna go back and look myself, but that Anakin had slaughtered everybody. So it's part of the beginning of Anakin's fall, but at this point, this was also the beginning of Leia coming to grips with who her father was, and that he wasn't always the monster that he turned into. Because during that whole thing, she gets glimpses of the little boy who wins the pod race and had friends and this and that. That's why I talk about the world building. That one moment allows for future world building, future actual good storytelling in Star Wars. And that's why it's powerful. And I do like that moment because it's Anakin's fall. And that's what this is all about, Anakin's fall. All right. So that is the strongest part of Act 2. The rest of Act 2 is kind of weak. Let's jump back to Act 1 real quick. So Act 1 is the setup. And Jed, how do you feel about the instantaneous action once the second assassination attempt on Padme happens?
Well, this movie, I actually have to disagree with you guys on Attack of the Clones. This one and Phantom Menace are so tied together that a different watch through will change which one I think is better or worse. I think I agree the dialogue is definitely worse in Attack of the Clones, but I think the direction in Attack of the Clones is better than Phantom Menace, especially with him telling actors to have facial expressions, with Phantom Menace didn't have. I think the action is generally better, of course, with the exception of Duel of the Fates. So starting out with some actual plot progression with some good action tied into it really helped me get invested in this movie more so than I did with the Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace, I was checked out the entire time. This one, there were moments that I could check in. And of course, then the dialogue would take me right out of it. But the action at the beginning, the way those two assassination attempts, like you said, the opening assassination at the very, very beginning of the movie, it has this eerie quality that I always remember as a kid. Not everything makes sense. Some of it is incredibly cartoonish, but I think some of that stuff works better in this movie. So I'm probably in the minority where I say they're close, but Attack of the Clones might eke out a little bit more from it. But when the second assassination attempt, that's with the worms, right? That's when you're referring to.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, between those two, there's such bad dialogue, especially the Anakin stuff in the scene right before that. He is so creepy, dude. I cannot.
All right, that's where I'm going to start this conversation. Jed, you walked perfectly into where I want to go. I feel as though this movie, and I blame George. And oh my God, he's blaming George Lucas. Yes, I can blame George Lucas and still.
I blame George too.
Yeah. I think I don't have a problem with Anakin and Padme having a relationship. I think it moved way too quickly in this movie. And his first line, I think about you every day since I left you. Is like, oh, dude, no.
It's like, yeah, dude, it's been 10 years. Like, what are you doing?
How long did the movie take place over? It feels like a couple days, but I'm guessing there's probably a few weeks hidden in there for travel.
It's got to even be probably like 2 months.
No, not 2 months. There was no delays in travel. You have to we would have to go into the math of the refugee transport that leaves from Coruscant to Naboo. Now, we did this last week. Naboo is, because when I broke in this very book, because I had it on hand, the Naboo is relatively close to Tatooine. Because Tatooine.
Well, then of course Geonosis is right there too. Less than what was it, a parsec from Tatooine? Why is everything right next to each other? I wouldn't be surprised if you could see Camino from Tatooine.
That's George being bad. Honestly, that's bad.
Also, at the same time, I will admit, I think that the prequels suffered without Marsha Lucas. They did.
Well, a lot of people always said that.
Not saying she was the most incredible thing ever to Star Wars.
Yeah.
She helped rein George in, and she would say, "George, that doesn't make sense." Or
a lot of people did. Yeah, that. I mean,
George needs to be reined in.
I've never really harped that much on the people reining him in because I don't really like to focus on that personally. But you're not wrong. A lot of people kept George from being too George, from letting.
That's why I don't think he should direct at all. Like Empire
Agreed.
Strikes Back is a great example of him
Yeah.
letting someone else take the reins and making this entire franchise so much better than it was before
Well,
that.
I think that back then it was simply a case of he understood that he wasn't hungry enough at that point anymore, and while he was good writing it, he didn't want to direct it. At this point, we're it's 20 years later, and he honestly at this one probably thought that he could do everything, and he didn't need training wheels. Is maybe a good way to put it. He didn't need coaching, and he probably, and also like you said, he didn't have anybody who would stand up to him anymore and say, "Don't do this, don't do that." So when he just, I would have been okay with him directing Phantom Menace because it was the first return to this of Star Wars. It's like, okay, people gonna want to have him do it, but after that, I think it would have been better if he had handed the reins to somebody else in his circle or that he trusts. Might have gone different because, listen, time has been kind to Hayden Christensen in terms of how we view it. But and he does better in Revenge of the Sith than he does in this one. But he is rough in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
He gets as the movie progresses, you can see he gets a little more comfortable being Anakin. But those early scenes, I mean, I don't know what the shooting order was to all the things. They don't shoot the movie in order. They shoot different parts. But you can tell when he's more comfortable and when he's not.
Yeah.
And those Coruscant scenes, yeah, he's not comfortable as Anakin yet, and it shows. And but in the end, I'm not shitting on Hayden Christensen because Hayden Christensen in the long haul of his history as Anakin Skywalker, as a member of the Star Wars family, he's been good. He has always treated fans with respect.
He's actually beloved, to be honest.
He's become beloved. He's
Yeah.
become beloved. I mean, he wasn't always beloved. He was liked, but his behavior in the intervening years as just being, "Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you like me." Never pushing back, never attacking fans. That's what's endeared him because he's happy to be here. And while I hate everything Disney Star Wars, every little single thing, I do not begrudge him going back because man needs a paycheck. Man's got to earn a living. And he is Anakin Skywalker in the flesh.
He is too, and also somebody who's gonna kind of like step on a toe. The interaction between Obi-Wan in the Obi-Wan show and Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, you could see that they've been lifelong friends. You could see that they understand these characters and they understand how to do emotion. So when the mask is sliced off, whatever you feel about that, whatever you feel about the whole entire show, you see just two people who are actual legitimate friends.
Chemistry is a thing.
The chemistry is a thing, and that was a powerful moment. The rest of the show, I hated, but that moment when the two of them together, or also the training thing together, that was my favorite part. But it entailed maybe a whole 12 minutes out of
not even. It was like more than 5.
So,
5
yeah.
minutes.
So it's one of those things that it's okay to like, and look, Ewan McGregor, look, he went on the weirdo fucking path, slightly, but at the same time, he's still Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, you can't get away from that. So, I think these movies have aged much better. And Hayden Christensen, he's very rough. I think he's meant to play a 19-year-old at the age of like 22, so he's still awkward and weird. I remember 22, and I was probably just as cringy. And I hate that freaking word.
I remember cringe moments I did in front of girls.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh wow,
especially when we're all in your feelings. You're like going, I just, it's just like
not even feelings, just like, wow, there's kind of the possibility she might touch my penis, so I'm gonna try and do something, and then I end up saying the dumbest retarded thing that's completely possible, and destroy all chances of her touching my penis. So you are still very awkward unless you were born a Chad, which I don't think any of us are. As much as a Chad I am now, no. But either way, he did the best he could, and I'm not going to shit on him. I shat on him a lot, but that was 20 years ago, and I was around his age, so maybe I was angry at seeing myself as an awkward kid. I don't know, but in my adulthood, in my elder years, I'm not so angry anymore, and I forgive a lot, especially in the face of what we're given today, what Disney calls Star Wars. But back to the matter at hand. So I think this giving Anakin and Padme so much to do with their relationship was a poor choice of storytelling in this one, and they moved too quickly. And because here's the thing, and you guys can jump in on this. They didn't do enough to convince me that Padme had been longing for him for 10 years.
Oh God, no! It seemed like she was
Yeah.
surprised to see him. Like, oh yeah, I kind of remember you. You exist.
Yeah. So
Yep.
in the span of the couple of weeks that I think this takes place over, I think this takes place over anywhere from 10 to 14 days. That's how long I think this takes place.
That's way too quick.
Yeah. There's
Way
no
too
way. There's
Yeah.
no way she's that head over heels for him.
Well, just the Naboo montage of their romance. What was that? A day and
Yeah.
a half?
2-3 days.
Yeah.
2-3
Yeah.
days.
They're already talking about confessing love to each other.
Now him we can understand that because
Yeah.
he's obsessed with her every night with a box of tissues for 10 years. We understand that. But
And she
her-
has no idea what a red flag is.
dude,
like-
let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. So I mean,
Yeah.
Ryan, we brought it up, so go back to it. Right after the slaughter, he's back at the Lars Ranch
Mm-hmm.
and he's expressing to her. She's sitting there listening to how he slaughtered an entire
Yeah.
tribe.
Oh,
He's
before
like-
that, I want to ask. So when he's in there, he's grieving, whatnot. She walks him and says, "What's wrong, Annie?" His mother just died. What do you think is wrong, you moron?
Yeah, no, it's not great.
Really
I'll even say before this too. He comes off again super creepy. The way he does things, he watches her. What's the
dreaming
scene
about her?
Yeah, what's the scene? She shuts the door or something like that, or shuts the blinds. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've watched it, but it's like she's creeped out by him watching her.
No, it's right in the beginning where they're in her apartments on Coruscant. She turned off the
the cameras.
Yeah,
That's what it was. That's what it was.
He
Yeah.
actually says, I think she was uncomfortable with me watching her. Well, you were probably touching yourself while doing it. So yeah.
Well, I mean, he had one hand on the remote for the cameras, the other hand on his wiener. So anyway, it's that's one of those things. Look, he's 19. He's gonna be awkward as it is, but like going this far is almost like slightly serial. It's portrayed as like slight stalker territory. And
not slight, all the way.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. I was trying to be a little generous, but
No, there's no generosity here. We are
Well, and
completely
he
true.
romantically talks about creating a dictatorship, and to her, that should be
If
a
it
big
works.
problem.
yeah,
Yeah. And they're all like smiling and cutesy about it. It's like, no, he's saying some really bad stuff. You want to, have a reaction to that besides, ooh, your
Yeah.
whole thing is democracy. That is literally your whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because she literally says again and in another movie that this is how democracy dies, with thunderous applause. It's her whole entire life.
Mhm.
And anyway, so long story short, them rolling in the fucking grass or whatever the fuck that was. It
That
was
is
it
some
was
bad CGI. Him poised on the front of the
oh
of the-
so
the-
terrible.
That is
Yeah.
that
Which
is one of the
moment?
worst examples. When they're playing in the grass and he's balancing on the front of that
Oh,
animal, that's
that
not
is
good.
really
That's
bad.
not good. That was bad. That was
It
one of
looks
the
like
really bad CGI moments.
Yeah, it looks like a buffalo crossed with a tick or something like that, like a giant tick. The way like it's horrible.
It's really
But
bad.
so again, he gets like kind of like run over by this animal. She's like, "Oh my god!" And I mean, I could have believed that a little bit because she's gonna somewhat care about him. I mean,
Mhm.
understandable, but it just goes way too fast. Over a couple of days, I could give you a couple
so
of weeks,
quickly.
but
Yeah, it's at most they've been hanging out for a week and a half at most. If you count
I
travel
think
time
that's
on the
being generous.
transport, travel time on the transport, 2 or 3 days on Naboo, about probably a day, 2 days to a day or two to Tatooine, another day or so on Tatooine because they were only on Tatooine for maybe a day and a half, 2 days, and then the quick jump to Geonosis. And it leads to the Geonosis confession. Now, I will say this, just like last week, I will say the third act is the strongest act of the movie.
Mhm.
Everything's in place, events are moving, and there's no time for bad dialogue because it's actually the movie's moving. There's still a couple bad dialogues. They've got that little cheesy dialogue. I think it was mentioned earlier in the chat. This party's over.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Sam.
I will say this real quick. Natalie Portman looks incredible in this movie.
She does. And I'm not
in
a
the
Natalie
black
Portman
dress.
fan.
Yeah.
I like her in the white outfit. In her
The white outfit is pretty cool.
Yeah,
white
well,
outfit.
her
yeah.
boobs look great in the black
that's-
outfit, and then
Mhm.
she's looking real tight in the white
In
outfit.
that white outfit, she was fit, and even with her small bust size, there was some jiggle physics going on.
Mhm.
Because I guess George still said there are no bras in outer space.
No.
So, but I'm not the biggest Natalie Portman fan, but I cannot deny that physically she
Yeah.
had it. She was
Well,
fit. Fit as
There's
fuck in that
actually
movie.
more an argument for no bras in space than no panties in space because you don't have gravity as a problem in space. So
That's a good
I can see
point.
that. I could actually see that being legitimate. As bras aren't needed in space.
Well, I support
Yes.
both. So I mean, women going commando, and in every way, shape, or form, I'm all for it.
I mean, when the Nexus scrapes her across the back, I don't see any bra straps
No.
on there. When that Nexus gets across the back.
Also, at the same
Any-
time, gentlemen, Natalie Portman is single again. Apparently, after a
She's
decade and a half.
all
Really?
yours. Yeah, well, that was like last year. She divorced her husband last year, I think.
Yeah, well, it was a huge thing that was made about it to like going, oh, longtime Star Wars fans. She's now single.
Well,
It's like,
she's all yours.
no, I'm good. Trust me, I don't need any of that nonsense in my life. She's scathing. She's a quieter but still weirdo.
Yeah, the whole names on the dress thing, and
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was pretty
why
cool.
aren't
Yeah.
you hiring them for your production company, huh? Anyway,
Yeah.
that's all. That's way off topic. But all right, but it's I think we are all in agreement. The Padme Anakin relationship, while their theme, the John Williams theme, is on
Mhm.
point. It's a fabulous theme.
As always.
It is.
Oh yeah, it was
beautiful.
incredible.
It's beautiful. It's haunting. It's lilting. I love it all. But their whole arc in this movie is the weakest part of the movie, if you ask me.
They
It's
have
terrible.
no chemistry, even in the next movie, which I
No, they
actually
don't.
think Revenge of the Sith is good. It's the one prequel
Yeah.
that I'm like, this is a good
Yeah,
movie.
it's a really good. Yeah.
Their chemistry is still terrible. I always think of the balcony scene. It's like, I'm only beautiful because I'm so in love with you.
Love with
No,
you.
because I'm so in love
Keep
with
your
you.
powder dry. Next week, keep your powder dry. That was yes, that
I mean, Ewan McGregor had better interactions with Natalie Portman saying, Anakin's the father. I'm so sorry.
Mhm.
And then walking away. Like that was 10 times a better interaction than
Mhm.
either one. Like even in what was the Clone Wars, the Cartoon Network ones, the animated ones, where like, Anakin goes to war and it shows and it plays the John Williams score between them. That was better. The John Williams score was better in Knights of the Old Republic in the trailer for it at the same time.
John Williams is always that.
Well, he's
that's the
incredible.
thing. His score always elevates every scene, and it makes the scene. Without the music, none of this works. It's
Yeah.
what makes these things better. That's why
It's
we
called
always
Across the Stars for people
Yeah.
who don't know.
That's why we always raise the point because of John Williams. So that's if anybody has any disagreement on that, I'd like to put that one to bed, though.
I mean, I would say that the arc in of itself, what could have been, is probably pretty good. It's just the dialogue that really, if they would change up the dialogue, what they said to each other, maybe make Padme, have thought about Anakin more often in those last 10 years or
then that would be
something.
creepy because he was 9 years old when she last saw him. Then
True.
we're actually getting
True.
into the meme. Then we're getting into the
But-
fake meme
True,
of
but-
grooming with her.
Real quick, to me, the dialogue feels like it kind of feels like a divorced old elderly man trying to
Well,
write a love story,
The dialogue
which he
fails-
was at the time.
But the dialogue fails because it's moving a situation too quickly.
Yeah.
and you're having to rush the
Yes.
relationship. That's why it fails, and that's why it gets stilted. That's why you have to have them make such weird declarations at awkward times, because you have to move their feelings for each other along at literally light speed, so
Yeah.
that you
Well,
can get
it,
to
it's
the confession and on Geonosis.
it's also at the same time kind of why the Clone Wars animated series moved their romance into a more manageable place that people are like, oh, okay. Like, you know
It
what I'm
gave it
saying?
time to breathe, so
It gave it
people
time to
could.
breathe. Like, yeah, attack. Again, horrible name. Like, maybe the
Just say
prequels
episode
should.
2. Just say episode 2.
Episode 2 probably should have been a two-parter
Not
because
even.
I mean, the Clone Wars needed more time to breathe. Like,
Well,
on
this
it's
is
just like
all right.
going, oh, all of a
You're
sudden,
stumbling on another problem here that George created for himself. He shrank his timeline.
yep,
In A New Hope, the distance between the Clone War and the era of the Galactic Empire, where they were in New Hope, was originally longer, like 40 years, like 30, 40 years difference, some shit like that. He shrank it to literally just 20 years. And that's part of the problem. He didn't leave himself enough room, because the Clone War itself, I mean, where's my I'll put the book back. Hang on. Let me get a timeline in my hands.
And by the time New Hope arrives, it's like nobody remembers the Jedi, even though that it was a huge
that's
order.
the
They
problem.
were all
It's
over
only
the
been it's only been 18 years. It's only been 18 years.
well,
And,
yeah. So look at
like
this.
Han not knowing, he lived in that time. I mean, yeah, he was a baby, but still,
kid,
he would know of them because his parents
Yeah.
might have told him, or people
So-
he grew up with would know.
Look at it this way: how long ago was 9/11? It's only been 23 years since 9/11. Everybody who was alive during that point remembers that,
so-
right? Like,
yeah,
going, hell,
All right, so
No.
the Clone Wars was only 3 years. It only lasted 3 years, 2.5 even, maybe. Depends
Yeah.
on where you want to say the starting point is. So he left himself no room to maneuver. That means there was little time to develop it, which is why I mean, remember, as much as we hate Dave Filoni and his experiences in butchering lore through the Clone Wars TCW was still George's idea. And he
Yeah.
did put it for us, and he was managing it for a while before he left it all in Filoni's hands to butcher it even further.
Yeah.
So
well, even if he would have made it 35 years, you know, I'm 38. I don't remember the fall of the Berlin Wall. Does that make sense? Like, it's one of those things that, you know, if you stretched it just enough, it would work. But making Luke, you know, literally like 20 years after the fact was not a good idea. It was bad. It was a horrible idea.
It was a problem he created for himself, and
And
we as
Disney, of course,
fans-
makes it worse by putting Jedis and Sith on Tatooine.
Well,
that's true.
Disney makes it worse by, for example, then taking other very small time periods like the year and a half between Empire and Jedi, and cramming millions of stories for individual characters in there, which is virtually impossible.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, but it's an unfortunate precedent that George set to try and cram a lot of stories into a short period of time, and he didn't allow anything to, what you guys said, breathe. There was no room to breathe. And that's why Attack of the Clones is a bad foundation for Anakin and Padme, because there was no room to breathe. It was rushed. They were only together for 3 years. And I'm keeping my powder dry for some of that for next week with Revenge of the Sith. In fact, I'll say it now, repeat it next week. For Padme to have her heart broken and die of a broken heart after only 3 years. Yeah. You know, why don't you your
To
mama
get
bury you?
married right away.
Yeah.
'Cause that's how Attack of the Clones ends.
Yeah.
He's a child, so like he's 19, 18 years old.
She popped his cherry, man.
You don't get married that quickly.
No. And
I think that would have been a good place to start Revenge of the Sith. Is late on, 3 years later. They've been dating for a long time. I think that would have been a good moment to have them.
I'll bring that up next week. My problems with, again, the timeline, and it's reflected in Revenge of the Sith and how they told that story. Not enough time, and then choosing a point to stop when they should go next week. next week. I will. That's a major discussion for next week. But because here's the thing: going into this movie, I had no preconceptions what this movie is going to be like. Unlike Revenge of the Sith, I had a lot of preconceptions of what I thought was going to happen in that one. But in this one, I didn't have any. So when I went into this and all this stuff happened, I felt numb in the end because I wasn't sure how I felt. We started the Clone Wars. Okay. Are we going to see the Clone Wars and that? Because got to remember, the Clone Wars TV show didn't come out until 3 years after Revenge of the Sith. Or 2.
Yeah, it was
The
what?
movie
So,
at
so
least did. Yeah.
the movie
Yeah.
dropped in 2008.
Yeah.
Which
and
is
you
such
ha-
a
and-
bad movie.
Oh, it's not good.
Yeah, and then you have to understand, and this will be a topic for next week as well. Gennady Tartakovsky's Clone Wars.
Those were incredible.
Is a
2000, 2003?
I haven't seen them.
Oh, yeah, you have.
You haven't what?
Well, you have to watch it for next week.
Oh, yeah.
It's only half an hour. They're really short. It's only
Well,
they're mini episodes. And they all
No,
string
actually,
together.
I think each one of them is about an hour and 10-ish minutes.
No. There were 2 parts to it. There's the first part, which takes place right after Attack of the Clones, which are like mini 5-minute episodes, and then
Yeah.
the last one are about 10 minutes. Only about it's under an hour to watch the whole thing because
Is
you have
it
to watch
really?
it because yeah.
I own both the DVDs from the day I bought them, but I haven't watched them in a while. I need to.
I mean, Jed, here's why you have to watch it because the events at the end of that literally lead right into Revenge of the Sith.
1000%.
George had Tartakovsky literally walk us into the movie, and it's brilliant and it's glorious, and it's better Grievous than you get in the movie. That is Grievous. Gennady Tartakovsky's interpretation of Grievous. That's the Grievous that we were denied.
You were scared. You were scared of him.
So, but that's next week.
He's a monster.
That's next week. Grievous doesn't exist yet. We have to conform to the rules of the show. We're talking about this episode self-contained. We could reference episode 1. We must not leave. We've referenced stuff. We've laid the ground, but we can't go too far.
You brought him up, dude.
I know. That's why I'm ending it. I'm ending it myself. But it's the timeline issue is a real discussion we had. It's a problem, and things are rushed. Just like I like Obi-Wan's arc in this. I do. But
for the most part,
because it's showing Obi-Wan being competent. He's a competent Jedi master. 10 years on. Now, of course, Obi-Wan mullet ain't working.
Well,
no, it works way better for Hayden.
Yeah.
He's not necessarily he hasn't made the rank of master yet, right?
Oh, he's master. No, he's a Jedi master. He's just not on the council.
Are you
yet.
sure?
Yeah, he's a master.
They do call him Master Kenobi.
Yeah.
Although,
well, Anakin
I believe
calls
you
him
call
that, but I don't think
Other people
anybody
did.
Oh, did they? Okay, all right.
But
My bad.
a Jedi Knight would also be called Master from the.
Well, no. But here's the thing.
No.
When-
Like Palpatine called him Master Kenobi, perhaps at the beginning.
Yeah, because later on, when Anakin gets insulted when one of Padme's officials says Master Jedi, that's an honorific.
Yeah.
But in this case, no, he is a Jedi Master at this point. It's been 10 years. If he's not a master at that point, that would be silly. He is a full-on Jedi Master.
Then I'd probably err on the side of the fact that it's something that's newer because he still seems to be kind of
he does seem inexperienced. Yeah,
he's not what he is in Revenge of the Sith, and of course
that's
Obi-Wan has never been foolhardy, but he seems to be
that's
a little more maybe uncomfortable in his new role, if I'd say so.
I don't know about that. I think the difference in Revenge of the Sith is that's battle tested, battle hardened Obi-Wan, who's seen some shit at this point.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. More inexperienced because he seems to be a little short with Anakin. Kind of like an inexperienced father or older brother.
That is good storytelling.
That's what. Yeah, I would agree.
That's what I'm saying. The Obi-Wan stuff in the movie is actually good because it shows you him completely not recognizing that he's treating Anakin with a level of he's patronizing him a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
Well, even in his best moments, like good job, young Padawan.
That was what I was saying. It's exactly what I was about to say. Anakin just had a great tactical decision. Shoot between the transports, knock it out with the concussion missiles, and he says, "Well done, my young Padawan." It's like, and you can see Anakin. That's good direction. George had Hayden go like this.
Yeah,
it was good. You could see it's like, dude, why'd you have to call him Padawan?
Well, that's
right
so
there?
unnatural to say. That is a wartime scenario. They're in an open. It's basically being in a helicopter. Basically, I can imagine it was so loud right now. You want to keep your words concise and just focus on the strategy. That was a conscious thought he had to have had to call him my young Padawan in that moment.
Yeah,
it's just kind of bitchy.
Yeah,
I will say this
over
though.
and over again.
Where I have a huge problem from episode 1 and episode 2, Darth Maul is one of the best saberists that they're on that side, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you watch their one-on-one. That's fucking incredible choreography between Ewan McGregor and Ray Park.
Yep.
And then you have the whole fucking Count Dooku and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he goes down that fast. Dude, fuck you. That's
no,
gay.
Dooku is
It's
better than
fucking
Maul.
gay. No,
Dooku's
he's better than Maul, but not that fast.
Yeah,
That's gay. It's fucking
was
gay.
pathetic how quickly Obi-Wan got taken out, and then Anakin lasted so much longer.
Well, he dual wielded for a second there, and dual wielding does love you.
It was fucking
like
gay.
2 seconds. I have a lot of problems with that fight. Like I laughed when,
Okay.
oh my god, there's a conveniently placed wire on the ground to cut out the lights for dramatic shot. Like I don't believe that's
it's
realistic.
terrible. I
The first
fucking
part of
hated
that
that.
fight is great, but you got to understand. This is my one story for watching that movie. I went premiere day. I was there, or maybe it was a day or so later. I didn't stand in line for this one, like I did with Phantom Menace, because I was by myself. That point, I didn't have my old high school friends anymore. We had gone our separate ways permanently at that point, pretty much. I was in the theater. It was a packed theater. When that lightsaber fight's happening, you're into it. And then when Dooku takes out Anakin, takes off his arm, Anakin's out. And we'll go into more of that in a second because there is stuff to analyze in that. When you hear the tap, and then Yoda comes around, the fight begins. I literally cheered. I lost control because I went, yeah! When Yoda pulled out his lightsaber and started whirling dervish attack, I cheered like a little fanboy, and I will stand by that because even though that's basically a CGI fight, it's not a full choreographed fight. I loved it. I still love it. And there's something about Yoda when fighting Dooku. He doesn't do this in the next movie. This one, yelling battle cry while he's spinning around. I love it. I love every second of that. It is great.
Loved it at the time, but now I hate it because all I can hear is fucking Yoda going.
No, he's going.
I fucking hate it.
It's awesome.
I hate it.
I'm right there with you, Ryan.
It's awesome.
I fucking despise it to this day. It is fucking terrible. That is not Yoda's role.
I love it.
So I will say the first time I saw Yoda in the prequels, I was like, this doesn't look right.
Well, did you see the puppet or did you see CGI?
CGI. CGI.
They had done the CGI already?
No. I saw the puppet.
The puppet was god awful in Phantom Menace. That was god awful.
Mm-hmm.
Just didn't look right.
Seeing this Yoda come out and that fight, I was like, okay, I'm on board with this. I love it. Absolutely.
I loved it. I will defend that scene because I didn't expect, because here's the thing, I didn't expect it to happen. I did not expect Yoda to be in a lightsaber duel in this movie.
And it's cool to see Yoda with a lightsaber.
Yes.
I mean, in a sense, yes, but at the same time, he's like Neo from the Matrix times 5. He doesn't need a lightsaber. He should literally be able to.
No. Force powers don't win a fight all the time because there is such.
No, I know they don't. But the thing is, though, is that that he's going to be leagues above Count Dooku.
He was
Piranhas.
He was outdoing him, and
well, yeah, no, but Yoda doesn't need a lightsaber. Like,
yes, he does. He
well,
did against
it's a part of the. Well, see that, and that's another one I have a problem with for the next fucking movie. Like when Yoda's like, and he's like, like really? What are you winding up? Like, what the hell is that?
Well, that could be considered bad choreography, but I'm going to talk about that next week. But
no, I know.
I defend Yoda with a lightsaber because the lightsaber, while the Force, as Yoda puts it, the Force is my ally, powerful ally it is, all that stuff. it can't solve every situation.
No, it can't. But
And the
Force Shield is a
lightsaber,
real thing where Yoda could go.
it's not so much a force shield; it's deflecting it before it gets there.
Oh yeah,
And
that's what it is in the game. It's called Force Shield.
and when Vader does it in Empire Strikes Back, it's that, but also that's an artificial hand. So there's a little bit more to it with Vader done, but that's different discussion. Listen, I will defend
We're
Yoda's
so in the
lightsaber.
weeds right now.
I am. I am. We're not in the weeds. We're perfectly fine. Go ahead, Jed.
Well, I just wanted to say something that they talked about in that scene. They did reveal a little bit earlier, but the fact that Count Dooku was Yoda's apprentice bothers me because it makes the Jedi Order seem so small. Besides Mace Windu, in at least these two prequel movies, every single important Jedi is in a single line of Anakin's granddaddy master was Count Dooku, and his great granddaddy master was Yoda. It's like, oh yeah, Yoda, Count Dooku, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Anakin, all in a single line. Those are the important subject matter Jedis in these first two movies, at least. Yes, you have Mace Windu. He's the one exception of an actual character who isn't in the same line. That just makes it seem so small, like there's 20 Jedi. So, of course,
see, I don't. Well, here's the way I look at it. Yoda, at this point, it's been over almost 900 years because he's 900 in Return of the Jedi. So he's just under 900 years right now, in his late 800s. He's probably had dozens, if not hundreds, of Padawans.
Him having a Padawan isn't the problem. It's just that it happens to be Qui-Gon's master, who it's this perfect line.
And then, of course, Obi-Wan being, Qui-Gon's apprentice, and Anakin being, Obi-Wan's apprentice, and it's like. And also at the same time, too, look, we're not next week, but I have issues with the fact that Mace Windu is supposed to be the best swordsman out of all of them. And
no, they still say Yoda. In the beginning movie, they say Yoda still is the best. They say Windu is strong.
I think at the time that they say that Mace Windu is the best swordsman.
They said
during the prequels, they did.
They said two things in this movie that would suggest one way or another. It's like a wise as Master Yoda and powerful as Master Windu, and Anakin in the ship said, or Obi-Wan said,
says
you practiced your sabers as much you could rival Master Yoda. I thought I already did. So
yeah, that's true. That is true.
Way. I mean, there is thing. If time hadn't gone the way it does, and Palpatine takes over, Mace Windu would have been the next Grand Master most likely after Yoda.
I would agree.
He would have been. Now, whether or not he would have been a good Grand Master, that is a theoretical discussion for another time. But
if he would have lived that long.
Yeah. But it's there. I will defend Yoda with a lightsaber till my dying day. I thought it was cool. I thought it worked really well, and it lends to the whole idea throughout. I mean, it was a theme in this movie. Every time Anakin loses a lightsaber, Obi-Wan chastises this weapon is your life. It is your defense. And without it, because you see, without the lightsaber, when they're having to deal in the arena on Geonosis, they're using the Force a little bit, but they're still at a massive disadvantage without lightsabers because you can only do so much. Because you got to also remember, not every Jedi is proficient in every Force power. I mean, Anakin happens to be, and even more so when he's Darth Vader, very proficient at telekinetics. He's very good at that. Other Jedi aren't. They aren't good at manipulating stuff, yet they might be good at sensing things. They might be at mental manipulation. They might be good at healing, cellular manipulation, stuff like that. There are specialists, and therefore Yoda is the Grand Master for reasons necessarily because he's good at everything. He's mastered all known forms of Force arts, for lack of a better term, and all lightsaber forms. That's why he's able to counter everything Dooku does. And Dooku says, okay, I'm not going to beat you like this. Let's go lightsaber. But even then, Dooku's not as good as Yoda because Yoda is the best. And Yoda is, of course, totally augmenting himself with the Force at that point. He doesn't have the agility that he did even 100 years ago, probably at this point. So I'm okay with it. I loved it. It was great. If anybody wants to add anything, fine, but I'm ready to move on to another part.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and beat a dead horse. Wasn't my favorite. I would have liked more from the practical lightsaber duel than the CGI one.
Well,
I think it needed more fleshing out.
I think I'm gonna say my only response to that would be it's the end of the movie, and they might have had other cuts, and this is the one they went with for time sense. Also, because while Obi-Wan gets aced pretty quickly by Dooku, they needed to have Anakin versus Dooku. They needed to show us how weak Anakin was at this point. That his brashness, his arrogance, couldn't pay the check, couldn't pay the bill. That however goddamn term goes, he's writing a check, his ass couldn't cash.
Yeah, I would also actually lean towards the fact too that the reason that Dooku took out Obi-Wan first is because knowing he's going to be more experienced in his in his battles. It happened too fast in my opinion. So that's just kind of where I'm sitting at. And then they made the beam fall on him. Like, really? God, that was terrible CGI too. Like, he's like, and the body like inches forward. I'm like, well, so his legs are crushed. Like, are you really?
That's in the next movie.
Is it the next movie?
That's the next movie.
That's the next
okay.
movie.
Sorry, I'm mixing movie. My bad.
Where he drops the platform on him to keep.
That's right. That's what. Okay, thank you. Sorry, my bad.
That's the next movie.
All right, that one sucks too. Shit.
Oh, that's a good. No, that's a good fight. That's a good fight. I like that fight.
It's better.
It's definitely better.
Yeah.
Still not great.
Well, that's
the end of the movie is great.
Well, here's the thing. That's I'm gonna save it for next week. I'm not gonna. We're diverging too much because of the other movie. The next movie. All right. Let's see. Where are we now? We talk Obi-Wan. We talk Anakin, Padme.
Can we actually talk about Obi-Wan's? We just kind of mentioned.
Okay. Sure. Let's say Obi-Wan then. Go ahead. Yeah.
So the second act Obi-Wan stuff I think is absolutely better than the Anakin Padme stuff. So it's always a relief to cut back to him. But I don't think his investigation is actually that good or well written because for a lot of reasons, you can't really call it an investigation. It's just that someone gives him information, he goes to the next place. It's very much check marks. Like the only thing he did, the only thing that he did, like showed intelligence, was picking Dexter. He picked Dexter. Dexter gave him what he needed, and it was just all the most obvious thing after that. And then he apparently lost all his intelligence when he's
that
like,
was really dumb.
What if planet not there, Yoda? If planet not in map, is it not map? But it will.
That was an excuse.
It's so bad.
That was an excuse to see younglings.
They could have done such a better job.
You're not wrong though. I'm watching it literally yesterday. I'm thinking, wait a minute. If it's not there, you're kind of going to figure out somebody deleted it from the archives.
That's like the only solution. Because if it's in the unmapped regions of the galaxy or like beyond the galaxy, you can see a reason for why it wouldn't be on their map. But she specifically says this is a mapped region. If it's not there, it doesn't exist. So it's obvious. It's obvious. And it really sucks that investigation is so thin because he eventually does get to where he needs to get on Geonosis, but there's so much of that mystery that is left unsolved that I only know because of second party material. Like there's so much left to it, like Count Dooku's involvement in making the clones. We get the reference to Tyrannus from Jango Fett, but there's so much more there. And this is just an aside as me as a kid that I find funny these days. Growing up, I always thought Sifo-Dyas and Qui-Gon Jinn were the same person because he said he died 10 years ago. I just couldn't. That was just a thing as a kid. That was 100%. That's not a problem with the movie, but the movie's like, oh, he died 10 years ago. I'm like, Qui-Gon died 10 years ago. It must be him. It was pretty sad. It's obviously not true, but all that manipulation is that there's a lot going on with what Palpatine and Tyrannus was doing, and with the cloners with Sifo-Dyas. And his investigation barely touches any of that. And it leads him just walking from place to place, basically. And so it's a big missed opportunity.
While it is a better, I agree with you. I see nothing wrong with your dissection of that. And it is a better part of the movie because it flows better, it feels better, but there is a lot lacking. And my analysis is that it's merely excuses to introduce all these points, to introduce all these story elements, and to get us Jango Fett, who I think Jango Fett's kind of done dirty by the end of this movie. because he has a decent fight with Obi-Wan, which you have which is part of actual lore that Mandalorians are historically capable of taking on Force users. They're very good at it. They use very precise tactics that disrupt the Force user's ability to concentrate and deal with stuff. Part of that, I almost said Dango, Django being a dual wielding pistol user. Now I question the decision making of characters and the question decision making of a lot of stuff here in the sense that when he loses like his one pistol against Obi-Wan during that fight, you're not telling me he doesn't have an extra one on Slave One? Doesn't have a backup?
Yeah.
Because it's not the name of the ship anymore, Adam.
No, it is. It is in that movie, so they can go suck my dick on that. It does. It's Slave One.
You're so angry.
And also, there is one problem with that fight, though. When the fight begins and Boba is in the cockpit of Slave One, and he turns the ship's weaponry on him, Obi-Wan should be spaced. He should be meat on the ground.
It lands. Yeah,
it lands around him like, oh, he should be dead.
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan should be dead. That was a poor choice of a thing there. And fucking Boba going, shut up, kid. But it's a good fight because it shows off a Mandalorian can fight a Jedi. But then when you get to the Battle of Geonosis, man, Django has 1 second where he takes out a Padawan that tries to get to Dooku. It's like, boom, gotcha with one pistol. But then against Mace Windu, it's just, really? I don't care. What? Oh, yeah. So you got trampled by the Ronto. Good job. Now you're going to lose to me. You're just going to stand there and shoot weakly at Mace Windu who's coming at you.
Literally. It's like, bing, 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 and he's just blocking it. It's like
only trick you got left. You are a seasoned Mandalorian warrior. And that's the only trick you got left against. Yes, now Mace Windu was going to win that no matter what. He's Mace fucking Windu.
Yeah.
But you can roll out of the way before you cut your head off.
Yeah. And then he just, boom, done. That should have been a better fight. Mace Windu should have had more to do in that fight. Django should have put up a better resistance. Should have used more Mandalorian tricks. Like, he used all his tricks against Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm. Then he forgot about him.
And I hold you don't have a backup blaster on board in your weapons rack. You're a Mandalorian. You don't just have your jetpack, your missile, your gauntlets, and 2 pistols. Freaking Mandalorian, you have an arsenal.
And you're at a weapons factory right there.
True. I hate to quote Disney Star Wars, but weapons are their religion.
I mean, that's not.
I was about to bring that up too.
That's not an actual.
I'm just saying.
Thing, but
look,
you're Mandalorians. No, their weapons are their religion. Battle is their religion. That's a more accurate way to put it. Mandalorians live for the hunt. They live for the fight. It's not, fuck Disney Star.
Well, I mean,
this is the.
I'm all angry now.
But now at this point, this is like the second Mandalorian we've ever seen, and both Mandalorians went down like chumps.
It's true.
Well, listen, Boba Fett survived. He lived. I mean, that's not just a Disney. They stole that.
Yeah.
They stole that from Star Wars. Boba Fett survived, and going down the line farther and farther, Boba Fett, he has a great arc in the EU of what he does. It's fantastic. It's really cool shit.
Does he immediately become a good guy because
he's still a dick. The only thing is that eventually he puts his anger towards Clan Solo aside because he realizes it's pointless and it's not getting him anywhere after a couple of attempts of revenge. But Boba Fett is never a good guy. In fact, he's somewhere between anti-hero and just gray area. Because it's one of those enemy of my enemy is my friend type of situations later on is what it is. And that's why certain alliances happen. Also because he does get his revenge on Han by training his daughter to kill her brother. It's glorious. Just he trains Jaina Solo to fight a Jedi who fights like a Mando. Oh, it was good. That's good Star Wars right there. That is good stuff. I'll get to it eventually. Anyway. So I think Jango Fett got done dirty. Even though the Battle of Geonosis is a good overall battle because it's a fantastic display. Once again, I see you're whinging. Let me make my point, and then you can dump on me, okay? I have a reason for bringing this up this way. You are either a kid or a young man, and you see all those Jedi right there. It's the first time you see something like that in live action. And that is the most Jedi you see on a screen ever. Not goddamn Acolyte. It's the most Jedi you're going to see on a screen at one time. Go fuck yourself, Leslie Headland, you piece of shit. You have this giant fight, and it's cool, and it's fun, and it's great, and you are completely pulled in. And I loved every second of it, and I still love it.
Also, at the same time, to their credit,
even though Padme riding around on the goddamn chariot, on the chariot with Anakin the chariot, that's retarded. That is retarded. That's really freaking stupid. She should have saw cover right away, and that was it. But no, she's riding around the goddamn.
Well, she was shooting. Come on, man.
Yeah,
you sexist.
It was.
She was like,
that's bad strategy.
Bing. Like, and you can watch her wrist as she shoots. It's like Bob's, and I'm like, what are you hitting the wall?
What's cringier, doing that or making lightsaber sound effects during duels like the actors did?
Wait, did they really do that?
Oh yeah, they had to cut out the sound effects because they kept doing it. Like, what's his bucket? Liam Neeson is always talking about. Yeah, George had to keep yelling at us to stop making the sounds.
I mean,
why would you do that?
I would have done that.
We all grew up doing it. That's why it's part of our genetic makeup for a guy. Okay?
Not a fucking movie.
Won't. You can't break a habit like that if you are a boy. You can't. You're a real little boy who played lightsabers as a kid. You can't do that.
Yeah, and they loved Star Wars. So,
dude, you're not that much older than me. Our lightsabers actually made fucking noise. We didn't need to like go.
Mine didn't. The
I had a freaking stick.
The crap that I had, it was this giant, horrible thing. You had to swing it with the force of 3 adult men to make it even go. Because it was a hollowed out tube with little openings at the top, and it had this gigantic stupid hilt. It was this big. You swing it around, and it's supposed to make noise, but it doesn't. It was this giant stupid plastic thing. Of course, I had it because it was Star Wars, and my mom bought it for me. But I hated it because it wasn't cool. I just went with like Clifton. I just went with sticks. I went with sticks or other swords or things that were just. I used to take apart croquet mallets and use the stick from a croquet mallet to be the lightsaber, because it worked better than anything else I had. And as a little kid, it was really large in my hands because it was this really long, like 3-4 foot stick. When you're only 3-4 feet tall, that thing feels like it's huge.
No.
What?
I was telling you to stop.
What?
I mean, it felt large in your hands, so
don't make this gay, dude. Don't make this gay.
You were making it gay.
No, by harping on my retardation, you're making it gay. Anyway.
I mean, the stick thing I get, but at the same time, like when the Phantom Menace came out, there were plenty of things that you could actually, they made this sound effect for you.
Yeah, but I didn't have lightsaber toys at that point anymore.
I mean, even if you had those toys, you wouldn't be going out hitting things with it. It'd break. It was plastic.
Actually, yeah, we are hitting things. I lost many of
Dude, okay, all right. So Revenge of the Sith. All right, I'm going to tell this fucking story because I was 19, my roommate in the military was 18. We went and watched Revenge of the Sith, huge fans. We went and got, those plastic lightsabers that were toys, they made noise, you could bang them together and stuff like that. We recreated the lightsaber fight in the hallway. And the barracks that we were in, it was very old. Clifton knows this story. And I ducked and went up to block, and I literally hit the window, the inside window pane with my shoulders. And because they were not secured, to repair the glass, you'd have to actually take them up and off. I hit that, and that thing went crash and shattered the glass. We were in the military. This is not a joke. Yeah. And it's like we had to tell the story that
conduct unbecoming.
Yeah, we had to tell the story that that we were that I bent down. I didn't realize it. To tie my shoe, and then I stood up, and it's just like
And I'm sure
That was a
your
fucking
CO
lie.
I'm sure your CO went, yeah, sure.
Oh, well, I mean, we had to clean up the mess, but the window was replaced. I'm sure we got some cider. He's like, all right, but at least y'all
Either
fessed
way,
up to breaking it.
lightsaber toys, of course, improved by that era, but back in the
Mhm.
day, you had to make do with whatever you found
I
because
I
they
didn't
didn't
have
exist.
ones with
I'm
sound
just
effects,
saying,
and I
I
was
had
born after Phantom Menace, so it just depended on the person.
I had
to make sure.
Obi-Wans. I still have that one, and my roommate had Anakin's. So, but Anakin's actually went from blue to red. If you hit a button, because
It
he was
vadered.
dark. Because
Vadered.
it was vadering before vadering was a thing. I just had
That's
Obi-Wan
you know
from
what?
episode 3.
That's I complain about that merchandise because Darth Vader's lightsaber is not Anakin's lightsaber. They're two different lightsabers.
I
They
know.
literally are. So that's
Obi-Wan's original lightsaber is my favorite hilt design. I know that's
Well,
weird to say. Not the Ben one, not the Revenge of the Sith one, his Phantom Menace one.
Really? So we didn't get to talk about that last week. I thought the Phantom Menace lightsabers looked too much like toys with the big red buttons on the side. I hated that.
Qui-Gon's looks rough. I don't like Qui-Gon's.
Everybody, they look a little better here, and of course, in Revenge of the Sith, they start actually looking like lightsaber hilts. But that's a weird progression that they in Phantom Menace they all look like toys to me because they were toys because they were sold.
That was the idea.
I had the
Merchandising.
original.
Yeah.
I had the original master replicas out of business, by the way. Darth Maul lightsaber. They cost $400. Yeah.
Wow.
That was back in it was about 2002, somewhere in there. No, sorry, not 2002. It was 2005. Sorry.
Either way, I forgot where we were at this point. I don't know.
We're talking about toys. Who cares?
No, about the movie.
We're going back to the battle. If we're going back to the
Battle
battle,
Geonosis. Yeah. All right. Go ahead and yell at me. Just get it over.
All right, so yes, it is a very fun battle. It's very visually pleasing. There's a lot of good CGI, at least in the first part of it. The second part, like we said, the actual Attack of the Clones, there's some rough CGI.
Yeah,
but I hate the strategy of it because
the rushing, just poof.
Everything happened at once. So either there's a massive coincidence that Mace Windu, his Jedis, showed up right as they were about to die, and then Yoda just happened to go from Coruscant to Kamino and back in the same amount of time. So it's a massive coincidence in a way that doesn't make sense. Or Mace Windu and his team had landed long before to give Yoda time to get there, and they decided the best moment was they might be dying right now, but let's give them some time to fight those monsters, and then we'll attack.
You're not wrong.
There's no scenario where those strategies make sense. If they landed early, you attack right away, try to sneak in there or something because you don't want to risk when there's an entire arena full of bad guys. You try to get it before it gets to that point, and before the people you're trying to rescue are in danger. Or it's nonsense, coincidence.
I want to
Everything
defend
happening
this.
once.
I really want to defend this, but I can't.
There's no way Yoda should have shown up 10 minutes after Mace Windu.
Yeah,
he had to go so much farther, communicate, get an army on 2 ships, fly over. The coordination just doesn't make sense. I don't think Yoda could have made it there in any way, shape, or form, regardless of when Mace Windu showed up. There's just no way Yoda could do all that in that amount of time.
It makes for great, cool moments, though.
It doesn't make sense, though.
That's my only defense. It makes for cool moments. I have no defense. I have no counter for that. Your logic is sound.
Real quick, shout out to Masquerade. Had it been called Attack of the Republic, I want maybe tweak that. Defense of the Republic would have sounded better.
It's still too wordy. I mean,
your face is too wordy.
Well, I'm a wordy person.
It's like,
but
what?
it still doesn't work. That's why I like just episode 2.
That's weird.
The Clone War. I mean, that has impact. It has meaning. And Attack of the Clones is just a bad title.
Yeah, it's not good. I don't like it.
Yeah. But we're getting to that, Legatus. We're getting to that. I've actually talked about that in my reviews of the Jedi Academy series, which I will finish one day, I promise, and we'll get going on that. I have a lot to do. Anyway, I can't argue with what Jed said. He's made a logical case for it. all I could say is subjectively, I like it. Objectively, you're absolutely correct. But subjectively, I still enjoy Yoda and the clones showing up to save the day. I enjoy the battle of Geonosis happening. I enjoy the whole sequence of events. It's just, it's what you want. It's fun. It's fun.
What about Padme saying, look, as if she knows who these ships are and that they're here to save them?
Well, I'm not going to defend that. That's bad dialogue. Listen, Padme is annoying in this movie. All right.
She really is.
She is really annoying.
She has a nice ass.
She's either being massively a bitch to Anakin or making really stupid fucking decisions. I mean, they didn't have, if they hadn't gone, Anakin and Padme going to Geonosis, it's the same as Luke going to
it was
Empire.
retarded.
It almost ruins everything, because if you look at it, the only reason Dooku put Obi-Wan in the arena is because he had Padme and Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
He would have kept Obi-Wan on ice.
Yeah.
For a little while longer. And then
he clearly wanted something from him from the interrogation scene.
Yeah. He was trying to like flip him, make him into trying to turn him. You know. But if Anakin and I posted this last year, and Jed and whoever else was with us on the Empire, I think it was Mustang, on the Empire discussion, I said Luke going to Bespin, things would have played out the same way. And a couple of points are pointing out to me that no, certain things would have changed because Vader wouldn't have been focused on Luke, and he would have been focused on the attempt to rescue Han, and things might have gone differently. So I accept that. But literally, Anakin and Padme going to Geonosis, it actually fucks things up.
Mm-hmm.
Because
makes things so much worse.
Dooku was happy to keep Obi-Wan on ice. He wasn't out to murder Obi-Wan. He's perfectly happy keeping him on ice. We saw that. Then I'm going to have trouble arranging a release because they wanted Padme so that Newt Gunray can have her executed openly and with humiliation. If they hadn't gone to Geonosis, Mace Windu and his Jedi strike teams would have probably then laid low until, objectively, to Jed's point, Yoda and the clones arrived, and they would have had them completely out of surprise them, because obviously the Geonosians and Dooku and all the other separatists were there. They were so all right. I'll take it back. One thing, they were also focused on the arena that they didn't see the fleet and the Jedi enter. That may be the one thing, but then again, it would have turned out to be a regular battle then. I don't know. I hold that
it would have worked a lot better if they hadn't done that. And there's another piece of coincidence that creates a problem. Count Dooku knew they were coming. He pretended not to, but he knew they were coming.
Well, he knows they're coming because Palpatine told him they're coming.
Exactly. So it's just all these messages throughout the movie to the Jedi Council. The Jedis are doing their own thing, and then the one important one, they happen to be in Palpatine's office.
The only people on Geonosis didn't know were the Geonosians and all the separatists who were there. But Dooku knows it because all of it was set up. The whole thing was a setup to start the war.
Yeah.
And that's where I want to go to this last part here then. I love Palpatine's genius, and I really do like, again, Ian McDermott. I liked him last movie. I like him in this movie. And I really like in this movie, he looks significantly older. He's aged. And that's because as lore, if you know the lore, the dark siding is really starting to eat him up at this point.
You don't even need that explanation for it. He's been a politician for a decade. Just look how bad presidents look from the beginning to end of their terms.
Very true.
That's
They
true.
age a lot.
Yeah.
And so Palpatine, it's brilliant. We don't actually see him as Sidious until the final scenes when Dooku easily gets on Coruscant, even though he's the most dangerous man in the galaxy at this point. He's just
space parachutes. Come on now. You saw that thing.
No, it's a hyperspace sail. It's a hyperspace sail.
There's no such thing as planetary defenses in this movie.
Fucking gay.
Well, there wouldn't be. No, well, of course there wouldn't be, because Palpatine gave him the proper codes to just get in. He's allowed to be there.
What about on Geonosis? There's an army forming there. They don't have ships out. They don't have sensors, like they mentioned in the chat. Like there would be something in space.
They would have orbital cruisers.
No. The Trade Federation donuts were in space, but the command cores were on the surface. because they were
And
loading up.
the donuts didn't notice anything?
Well, I don't know. Are you a donut?
Were there
I don't know how
donuts
this
in?
donut works.
I don't know if they were
They have
in
to be. No, they have to
space.
be. No, you do see them because later on, I think you see them merging with the donuts at one point. Maybe I'm confusing with a different movie. But
And I know this is space fantasy, and I'm definitely more the hard sci-fi fan here. I love hard sci-fi. That's where I'm at.
You like
Those
it hard?
those separatist ships are not getting through an atmosphere. They're just round balls. They are not going to make it through an atmosphere.
They have thrust, Jed. Listen.
It's not the thrust that's the problem. It's the burning up part.
So
you have to be at a certain angle.
Hey, listen. Shut up. Anyway,
Yeah, the ships don't necessarily make sense.
They have shields, Jed. They have shields. Okay, they got shielding.
Okay,
it works. All right, there's your answer.
I guess it's a better answer than something stupid or something unpredictable happens. Oh, the Force made it happen.
Well, no, technology.
I hate that.
They have shielding. They have shielding.
Shielding is a more acceptable answer than plot hole. The Force.
Yeah, they have shielding that blocks that type of stuff. So well, Adam, how did the missiles go through? Because the shieldings won't block physical; they block energy, and heat can be considered energy. There, I win. Anyway, so
I will say this real quick. It felt a little too Independence Day, like when they're like going, "Oh, target the most near the nearest ship," and they're like going, and then like they all collectively shoot one down. And they're like, "Oh yeah,
they're good soldiers."
Really?
Oh, and I love how that's a random moment where Yoda doesn't talk like Yoda. Concentrate all your fire on the nearest starship.
Yeah.
On the nearest starship, concentrate your fire.
I have nothing. I have nothing. What do you want me to? What do you want me to say?
Or nearest starship, fire, concentrate.
What do you want me to say? You think I'm going to defend every little piece of this? I'm not.
No,
okay?
you're not expected to defend it.
Oh no, we're not expecting that. We're just having fun making fun of it.
We're just fucking around now.
But but Sidious Palpatine pulls a great thing. But then of course it brings up if you are an EU guy, the fact that they have the Death Star plans there, that they've been working Death Star.
It's just so weird.
I think that didn't more bother of a me. Member berry, right?
Well,
yeah, that didn't bother me.
Listen, as opposed to last week, they didn't rely on a lot of nostalgia baiting in this movie to try and get people into it. They didn't do it as heavily. But then there's Death Star plan. And yes, it's the most important thing. We have to get this off. Here's the thing.
But he knew the attack was coming. That's so important. And then he knew he was supposed to lose. That is an important thing that you keep somewhere else.
But
it was there just to flash it off.
Yeah, but the thing of the Death Star is
he did take it off, right? And then kind of like going, okay, we need to keep this safe.
It shouldn't have been there to begin with, as well.
I mean, okay, so yeah, he knew that this was going to happen, but my guess is the Trading Federation, the banking clan, all of them, they were not included in that plan, knowing that
but he had access to it, so he'd be like, all right, let's move this, let's get it to Palpatine. Like, he'd come up with some reason to not have their very secret Death Star plans right there, since he knew that they were supposed to lose.
I would say I'd say yes and no, because Lord Tyrannus, as he is known, later on, he's very arrogant. He thinks that he is definitely a part of the plan. No, bro, you're not part of shit. You're just a fall guy.
I mean, listen, Dooku, he was a pawn in all this. But I will say Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee's incredible. God rest his soul.
Yeah. But as far as those two things, one, the Death Star plan, if you are an EU person, you have to do a lot of mental gymnastics to put the Death Star plans from the Maw to there and this and that. I think I remember rationalizing that these still could be there, but the actual finalizing construction still could happen in the Maw installation, and later on then be constructed when it's done or happen. There's still a way to rationalize it. I rationalized it in my breakdown of Jedi Search. I did it. I rationalized it in that. Go watch my breakdown of that book. I think I did a pretty good job. But as far as Dooku, Dooku, he's a patsy. He's a pawn. He thinks he's in on it. doesn't realize that here you think he's not even a real Sith. I mean, he's called Darth Tyrannus. He has a Darth title. He's a Sith Lord, but he's not a real Sith because he wasn't trained in Sith arts. He's just using the dark side because his eyes don't go Sith yellow ever.
Do you think he would have tried to destroy the Emperor if Obi-Wan had joined him?
Probably, because that's what every apprentice wants to do. Unseat the master. Problem is, Dooku is really old at that point. He's old.
Well, speaking of him being a patsy in Palpatine's plan, I noticed something at the beginning of this movie, and I'm sure Adam will probably say, "Yeah, that's fucking obvious," but we'll see. At this point, at the beginning of the movie, had Palpatine already been eyeing Anakin as a potential? He was already okay, because
I would agree with that.
I'd never really thought about it, and now it seems really obvious. But as a kid, of course, I didn't watch it.
The whole fact that he wants Anakin to be Padme's bodyguard.
That's what I was getting. That's what I was thinking. Like he probably, if he is eyeing him, probably knows how he feels about Padme because Anakin doesn't keep it a secret. He's apparently telling people he dreams about her.
Finish thought. Sorry.
But yeah, so he knew that and was thinking, hey, if I get Anakin close to her, that can start to break down his walls a little bit. So he did bring it up. He did offer Kenobi.
Even that, but what he does is in their one interaction in this movie, when he is congratulating Anakin on getting his first assignment, that's all the evidence you need that they have had a very talking relationship for 10 years.
Yeah.
That they had he's been acting like a mentor to him, because Anakin later in this says he's a mentor to me, this and that. So they have a very close relationship. So yeah, he's been working that angle for the whole 10 years probably. So,
that's an interesting piece of good writing.
Yeah. Anakin was always his desired apprentice. Go ahead, Clifton.
I remember at the time there was even discussion that some of the dreams that Anakin would have actually came from Palpatine. Like he induced them or something like that.
That I don't know about that. Anakin always had, because it was shown in Phantom Menace. He always had that force predilection for precognition. He always had that. That's part of his strengths. He was able to see things. So I don't know if is that just a theory, or do you have a reference for that? Or
I remember reading it somewhere. I honestly don't know exactly where it was, so I can't pull it up.
All right, hang on. No, Legatus, that's not EU. That's already Disney. That's already the retarded Darth Vader comic books in Disney. No, what the Palpatine, and if the only way Palpatine is remotely a part of the birth of Anakin is because Palpatine and Plagueis were messing with the Force, trying to create life, trying to manipulate it and shift it. And it was their imbalancing of the Force that caused the Force to have the Immaculate Conception within Shmi Skywalker. So that's
Metachlorians, please.
We don't talk about metachlorians. You shut the fuck up.
We talk about metachlorians right fucking now.
Yes, we do. We decided we don't talk. We mentioned them once.
Well, I wasn't fucking here last week, bitch. So we're talking about this.
No, we do not talk metachlorians. No, fuck metachlorians. So no, that is about as close to any influence Palpatine had in the creation of Anakin. There's a stupid, retarded panel out there in Disney Star Wars Darth Vader comics that shows Vader going on a spiritual walk journey where he sees Palpatine form behind his mother, like Force imbuing her womb to make him. That's bullshit. That's Disney weird. Bullshit. Didn't fucking happen. Didn't fucking happen. That's such lame ass fucking storytelling.
Congratulations, Disney, for making it even creepier.
Yeah. So no,
it got worse than that, especially around the time of Force Awakens, because I think those comics were already out. So the idea that I heard was Palpatine specifically made Anakin to be his perfect vessel, and then when Darth Vader happened, the suit that changed everything.
Well, yeah.
But the thing with Force Awakens is this was the legitimate theory that I heard a lot of people talking about, that Snoke was Anakin's body post the burning on the pyre, possessed by
Ah.
Palpatine's ghost.
You see, now it's not a bad theory that because
It's
Palpatine
weird
expresses
though.
it. Palpatine does this enough times well, some point in Dark Empire is he needs a new vessel because the clone bodies are getting worse and worse of holding his dark side essence. So it is not out of the realm of possibility that his whole nurturing of Anakin into Darth Vader was so that he could take over Anakin's body and have a new genetic line of a powerful force container. That's not out of the realm of possibility because that's what he wanted the future Anakin Solo for in Dark Empire. But as far as the whole him being actively involved, no, that's bullshit. That's creepy bullshit. No, but it's
I
not
would
out of
have
the realm of possibility.
rather.
No,
I
go
would have
ahead.
rather, Snoke be Darth Plagueis. It
I would
just
have
made
rather
more
Snoke
sense.
didn't exist. How about that? How about doesn't happen?
Oh, that's true.
I'd be happy with that. But it's
I prefer that Ryan Johnson's movie didn't exist.
I've heard
I'm not going to
Star
say
Wars
he doesn't exist.
Yeah,
His Star
but
Wars movie doesn't exist.
You see, Kel brings up a point in here though. Sith alchemy is a very big thing. That's what Plagueis and Palpatine were doing. Sith alchemy was the cause of the
Yes.
imbalance, and that's why Anakin was created. So that's as close as we can get to that. But either way, I think one of the best things of the entire prequel trilogy, and it's only shown here towards the end, is the manipulation of this movie. Not Revenge of the Sith. It's wall to wall. The whole thing is Palpatine's manipulation of everything. How he literally is the war. He's both sides of the war. He's doing it all to destabilize, to gain power, to eradicate the Jedi, and recreate the Sith Empire, or at least an empire where he will rule forever. Because we mentioned it last week, Palpatine wants to do away with the rule of two, instituted by Darth Bane. He doesn't want the rule of two. He's going to be immortal, transferring his dark side soul from one body to the next, just like Darth Vitiate did way back during the era of Revan. You could say that Palpatine's research was probably influenced by Vitiate and what he kept doing, transferring from one body to another, or even so much as splitting his soul. Because that was part of Vitiate's downfall in the end, is that he split his soul into too many directions and had too many puppets at once, and it led to everybody figuring out what he was doing. So that he wanted to be, because there hadn't been an emperor since Vitiate. There had not been an emperor over the Sith since Vitiate. And that Palpatine realized, I'm not just going to be a Sith Lord, I'm going to be the Sith Lord forever. And that was his plan. And it was being executed brilliantly. And that's one of the best things of the prequel trilogy is Palpatine being the puppeteer.
Yeah.
And I love it. And we'll get into more of that next week. We already mentioned it. I think with the exception of Duel of the Fates, I would say that Attack of the Clones soundtrack is even better than Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's better.
I can see it.
Because there's a lot of, we mentioned before, the Anakin Padme theme is fantastic. The Battle of Geonosis is great. All the scenic stuff is just, it works so well in that classic, brilliant John Williams fashion. Now, there's no one standout track like Duel of the Fates or like in the next one, Battle of Heroes. There's no standout one, but it's all overall, I think it is a stronger score than Phantom Menace.
I will argue that Across the Stars is not as popular as Duel of the Fates or Battle of the Heroes.
Oh no, we're not saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, it just it transcended, of course, other genres. Again, so Knights of the Old Republic, it's in that trailer. It's very, very, it's very good. It's very desperate, almost in a sense, for being a love story song.
Yeah. I mean, it's haunting.
Yes,
it's got a haunting aspect to it, as opposed to Anakin's theme from Phantom Menace, which had the Imperial March woven into it.
Yep.
And of course, the movie ends with the Imperial freaking March.
Yep.
As the Clone War begins, and I really do like when you see Bail Organa just completely defeated, watching all the clone troopers marching off to everything. He's beaten. He's like, wow. I was fighting so hard to stop this from happening, and here it is. This is terrible. And you've got and the seamless move into Anakin and Padme. So it's this. I love that they got the original original piece in there. That they got Imperial March in there, and it's glorious. It's glorious. Because even the most stalwart light side force user like myself, I get motivated by the Imperial March. I just do. It's one of the best pieces of music in science fiction ever. All right. That being said, unless anybody has any closing thoughts, I feel good about wrapping this up. How about you guys?
So one thing that I do want to mention is the second act. Anakin goes and to Tatooine and has that whole scene with his mom and everything, and like it's known that he has the fear of losing his mother. I mean, wouldn't the Jedi have had the resources to at least free her?
No, because nobody knows that she's been captured. I mean, nobody.
No. I mean, not. I mean, freed her from.
That's not their
slavery.
mandate. It's outside the Republic. They talked about it. Qui-Gon talked about it in the last movie. We don't go around doing that stuff. It's not what we do. He did his best to try and free her, but all he could do, they can't force people.
Yeah, I'm sure Anakin would have gone back as soon as he had the independence to do so, and that was his plan. Yeah, the Jedi didn't care.
Yeah, and that once you're a Jedi, unless you're on assignment, you kind of have independent freedom. You're basically a roaming cop around the galaxy. Now you could do it. You what's the word I want? I can't think. Well, it's an interest. Whatever catches your eye, you can go deal with it, unless you're being sent to do something diplomatic or diffuse a situation. But other than that, unless you're basically meditating all the time in the temple, you kind of have the ability to go up to who you want. And I think you're absolutely right. He probably would have gone off to free his mother, and probably done it in a very dark sidey manner. Let's be honest. He probably would have broken some rules, cut some corners, to get it done. And but it goes back to the whole thing, and we'll talk. We definitely, that'll be a topic of next week. The whole fear. Fear is always the primary emotion of Anakin. Fear of losing his mother, fear of losing Padme. Go ahead, Jen.
And to address what Clifton was saying, the Jedi Order, when they're raising a Padawan, their goal isn't to eliminate the things that make you afraid. They're trying to eliminate your giving into fear. So going to free his mother wouldn't be the point. Making him get over the fear of losing his mother was the point of his training.
And Ariel, we talked about that last week. Naboo, we showed it on the map. Naboo is within sublight distance of
and so is Geonosis, and Camino, and Coruscant.
Or not, well, we know about Camino. Camino is in the Outer Rim. They do mention it's in the Outer Rim.
I was just kidding about Coruscant. There's just so many things that you got to put them all there. But no,
Anyway,
there's one planet in this movie that isn't within sublight.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So that's it. Let's give the scores. Ryan, since you're here fresh this week, you may score this first.
Okay. This is probably going to be based off current day kind of stuff. Probably a 7 out of 10.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
It's because everything sucks. Back then, I probably would have said like a 5.5.
That's fair. Clifton, as our guest, still you may vote before Jed and I do.
So I was going into this discussion thinking, I liked it less than the Phantom Menace. But something that Jed said earlier is that the overall story is actually better. Just the dialogue bogs it down so much that I'm actually going to give this one also a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Just like I did last week.
Don't trust Jed. You weren't there when we had to watch The Witcher season 3.
All right. So, Jed went first last week, so I'll go first this time.
No, that's not true. You went first last week.
I did?
Yes, you did.
I did?
You said, it's basically my week, so I'll go first.
Oh,
you do it
I did.
every week.
You're right. I remember. I'm sorry.
You make up the rule every week. Is it my week? I'm going first. Is it my week? You're going first. It's like every week I have to guess. All right, which one is it?
No, if it's your week, you usually get to go first. Whoever's week it is, you get to go first.
That has not been the thing.
That is it. That is it. Shut up. It is. So you get
Jed,
to go.
he's old. Don't abuse the elderly.
Just shut up, all you. Just fucking go. Get it over with.
All right. So yeah, this film, I definitely watched it a lot as a kid. So there is nostalgia for. I'd say out of the prequel trilogy, it's the film I had the most nostalgia for because Phantom Menace, I don't know what it was about Phantom Menace. It didn't appeal to me as a kid, and Revenge of the Sith, I wasn't allowed to see till I became an adult because it was rated PG-13. So there is a lot more nostalgia, subjective urge within me to rate this higher. But like I mentioned earlier, it's so close in quality to Phantom Menace that a different watch through may change my opinion on which one's better or not. But this watch through, I definitely believe that there's a slight quality increase for Attack of the Clones. So I'd be giving this one a 4.5, giving half a point above Phantom Menace.
Okay, all right. I'm a little torn right now, you know. I like everything that goes on in Phantom Menace, as I talked about last week. I like a lot of the stuff. I like how it works. I feel it's a good reintroduction to Star Wars. But there is more of a story to this one. But the problem is, Act 2 is such a drag for me in terms of the dialogue and the pacing. Padme and Anakin, it's so cringe for me that I can't. I don't have a lot of fun in Act 2. I really don't. I love Act 3 where everything comes together and we see everything moving and the characters are actually doing stuff rather than having forced too quick conversations. That being said, I'm with Jed in terms of it. They're very close in terms of their problems. But I generally do enjoy Phantom Menace more. So I'm only going to put this slightly under. Last week I gave Phantom Menace 6 out of 10. This week I'm 5.5. 5.5 out of 10. Because it's just, I'm never completely bored in Phantom Menace. Padme and Anakin, it just bothers me. A lot of it bothers me, and I can never get past it. And even all the things I like about this movie, it's not enough to. I'm always getting through this because I want to get to Revenge of the Sith when I'm watching these. So I want to get Revenge of the Sith. So that's it. All right. Anyway, there we go, guys. Thank you one and all for joining us. Next week, we will be back for Revenge of the Sith on Star Wars Day. Now, I will say, I think I'm going to have to cancel the Star Wars Day stream. I don't think there's just not enough time considering everything that is on that day. We have this and we have more Doctor Who next weekend. I just don't have time this year to do it. So I have to make that call. I just can't make it happen. So we'll try and incorporate some extra Star Wars discussion maybe into this show next week. Either way, guys, thank you one and all. Thank you to Clifton and Ryan. Why don't you pimp your stuff out the door, Ryan?
Oh, well, Clifton and I will be at the same place tomorrow. We are going to be hunting Mr. Mustache Man at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time or 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, also 5 p.m. GMT for our international friends. And I don't know what the episode is called, but quite frankly, it's probably going to be something ridiculous, and we're going to have fun with that. Then on Monday night, House of the Dragon season 1, episode number 8, my favorite episode. So yeah, it's going to be pretty good. It's a good time.
All right, Clifton, anything else to add since you're on the same shows there?
Yeah, Ryan just mentioned it on Monday before House of the Dragon, on my channel here, Insert Culture, where we talk about pop culture, just not that what everyone else is covering. We try to get topics that aren't on everyone's radar, and yeah, that's it.
All right, and in about 45 minutes, you can come right back here, right back at Jed's channel and on Dermy's channel for Doctor Who Cares reviews. We're going over Ncuti Gatwa's episode number 3, Bomb.
Yeah. It's very it's kind of poetic, a gay man judging another gay man on Doctor Who. I'm kidding. I shout out to Dermy. He's a good guy.
We are going to cover that. So join us, stick around, join us. It's going to be a good time, as there will be much gnashing of teeth, I'm sure. It's not going to be as well. I'll be honest, Jed, they'll probably get more fun with us in the next one because we're going to lose our shit. At least I know I am over a couple of things. And we know Dermy's always good for a screaming rant or two. on this stuff. And so thank you everybody for joining us. Remember, hit those like buttons. Links are all in the description below, and we will catch you next time. Until then, guys, take it easy. Having a good night or day wherever you may be.